Welcome to Math from My Kids to Yours.
Hi everyone. Today we're going to be reading a decimal and word forms. So let's start by this example, 11.437. So I have this chart right here so it can help us understand this more. So this one right here goes in the tens place. Then this one right here goes in the ones place. I think we know that's 11. Now this dot right here, I wonder what it is. It's a decimal point. So that will go right there. That's our decimal point. Then this 4 right here is called the tenth. Not the ones, not the thousands, the tenth. It's not called the ones because one is just one whole, so we don't call it that. So we'll call it tenths. So put the 4 right there. Now the 3 is called the hundredth. So put the 3 right there, under the hundredths. And the 7 is called the thousandth. So put that there. Now, let's see. How can we read this correctly? Okay, 11, and don't call this point. It's called and. We'll call this and. Pretend it says and right there. So 11 and 437 thousandths, because the 7 ends in the thousands place. So now, let's do a bit of some examples so you can get it a little more. Okay, let's do 0, and then this is called and, right? And then a 2. And the 2, we learned, is in the tenths place. So the 2 is called, if you write it down, it's called 2, right here, 2 tenths. 2 tenths. Like right here, you would call this 4 tenths. Let's pretend there's a 2 there and it'll be 2 tenths. So how about we do another one? Got another 0, and then this is and, not a point, and then another 0 and 2. This one might look a little trickier, but this is just in the hundredths. Just looks a little more different. So 0 and, don't say 0 again. So 0 and, so you want to say like 0 and 0, 200. That doesn't make sense. So you go 0 and 200. Easy peasy. So then you write that down as 2 right there. And then what place is the 2 in? Hundredths. You got that. So then write hundredths. Let's write one more example. This one's a little more trickier, but we got this. 0 point, that's not a point, that's and. Remember that, and. And then another 0, and then another 0, which was our 2, but so we're going to write another 0 there to make it a little trickier for ourselves, and then a 2. Okay, what would you call this? Let's see. We called this the tenths, this the hundredths, and this the thousandths. So, let's see. Well, this would actually be called the thousandths because it's like just like here where the 7 was. So we'll write that down as 2. Once again, the 2. And what place is the 2 in? The thousandths. So write down And then, now we got 2/10, because that has a 2 there. Then 2/100, and then 2/1000. And what I noticed is that the tens, they end with the S. The ones, they end with the S. But the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousands, they all end with THS. THS, THS. That's how that reminds me that it's in the thousandths, hundredths, or tenths. So remember, 2/10 looks like that, just 1 0 ahead of it, and then 2/100 is 2 ahead of the other 2. Then 2/1000 is 3 ahead of the 2. So 2/10, 2/100, 2/1000. Remember that, so you don't get tricked up. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Hope you subscribe. Bye.